Hi everyone, welcome back to Living Even Keeled. I'm Patricia, and today I want to talk to you all about money. I'm going to share with you how we use Google Sheets to keep on budget. We get paid once a month. We've got to make that money last the entire month, and we've got to make sure our bases are covered. I'm also going to share with you how I use a different type of envelope system that has really helped me stay within my weekly spending money. And lastly, I'm going to tell you how I've sort of simplified all the different categories I used to keep track of, and actually having one lump sum is, for some strange reason, working out a lot better. So the first thing we do when we get our money, we put it into our checking account, but then we start transferring into different savings accounts. We have our general savings, we have a taxes and insurance savings, and then we have sort of like semi-annual payments. So the first transfer I do is our income tax. My husband does not have his taxes taken out yet, so we want to make sure that we are paying taxes. So we figured out how much we'll have to pay by quarter. We transfer that into an account, so whenever those payments come up, we have it. If you don't have your taxes taken out, you better figure this out, because chances are come April, you're gonna owe a lot of money if you haven't paid any taxes yet, and you're not gonna have it unless you are diligent ahead of time and you save it. Otherwise, you're gonna be in some hot waters. Most likely, you do have your taxes taken out. Most people already do that. The next transfer I make is into our savings account. Our savings account is firstly a 3 to 6 month emergency account, and then we have more on top of that for things that sort of like a sinking fund, people might call it, but we just have it all into our savings. So vacations, car emergencies, or ready for the time to upgrade the car and get something a little newer that's going to be safer. Also for down payments on houses. We were able to save a good amount for our down payment on this house, and we hope to do that again in the future. Whatever we might need cash for, we keep it in our savings account. This is not our wealth building account. This is just cash that you can access when you need to. Easy access cash. So we're just sort of squirreling away as much cash as we can afford a month into this account. Now, ideally, I would mention at this point retirement, and unfortunately, I still can't mention that yet. But instead, I'm going to skip over, since I don't have that settled yet, and tell you our third and final transfers that I make. We have an account for semi-annual payments. So things like our HOA, that is divided by 12, and I know exactly how much to transfer every month. So come January, when we have to pay our homeowners association, I have the money. I also put our property tax in there. We pay that twice a year. I put our home insurance, our car insurance. We even have things like Amazon Prime in there, AAA. So I'm going to show you really quickly on my phone what the app looks like. It's through Google, and it's called Google Sheet, and we have color coded each of the accounts I mentioned. So we start with our income, and then we have our taxes in orange, our savings in green, and then some of the semi-annual things I was mentioning in purple. This is for me because at the end of the column, if I were to swipe over, I see a dollar amount. I'm not sharing that part with you, but the dollar amount is there, so I know exactly how much to transfer over each month. You think I'd have these things memorized? I don't. This is super helpful because I have it with me at all times. It's not stuck here in a hard copy that I have to find every month. I can do the bills when I'm downstairs. Upstairs, my husband can see. We can look and see how much we spent last month, or anticipate what's coming next month. We have all the tabs. So I have June, July, August, and we're getting ready to create September here. And so I can really just have it all at my fingertips, and I love it. Our accounts are synced, so if you were to change something, I would see it in mine, and it's perfect. So that's the first thing I do. All of that to say that I pay ourselves. I transfer our money into our different accounts, savings accounts or taxes and semi-annual payments. And then the next thing you're going to need to do is look at your monthly cost of living, and that's like all of your bills and housing costs. You must pay these first before you get into the fun stuff, and I will get into that fun stuff where the envelope comes in. But things like your mortgage or your rent, your cell phone, internet bill, Netflix and Hulu, we pay for those every month, and so that's got to go in here. Garbage, trash, and now we have preschool. So all of those things, subtract them from that total income. Get that overhead cost figured out and subtract it from your income. So what you're left with at this point is what we call fluid spending. And again, I can easily see how much fluid spending I have every month, because this is not just a simple chart of money. It is a working number sheet where my husband has typed in a formula. So if you were to change some numbers, it would subtract from that fluid spending. So fluid spending is the remainder or the difference of all the bills, all the transfers and savings. And so I know exactly how much fluid spending I have a month. Now here's part 2 of this video. From fluid spending, I'm then able to divide it by week and figure out by week how much I want to spend on groceries and other. Now, in the past, I had groceries and other was not other. Other was super specific, and I know a lot of women here find success being that way, but it did not work for my family. I would have things like restaurant eating and clothing budget, fun and entertainment, gasoline, oil, car wash. Like, I tried to come up with broader categories, but eventually the broadest category worked to have grocery budget and the rest. So like I mentioned in the beginning, the second resource that has been really helpful are envelopes. I have 2 for every month. I have grocery and the rest. And so what I've done is I figured out about how much we currently spend on groceries, and I'm trying to get it a little bit less. I divide that number by how many weeks are in the month, and that is my grocery budget for the week. As I spend, and so I'm going to show you here my grocery budget. Like, for example, well, this week is kind of odd. We only spent like 14 bucks. We were going on vacation, so we didn't need to spend that much. But I write down the date, the store, and the quantity that I spent, and then I put the receipt inside in case I need to reference it. For groceries, I almost never do, and at the end of the month, I can just shred them or rip them up. But it keeps me on track. So in a 5-week month, I know that I need to be a little bit more careful because we're trying to make the same amount of money last all month, as opposed to a 4-week month where it feels a little more cushion. It's the same money, but just because there's 5 weeks, I don't want to go over. I could, but it's kind of fun to see if we can be a little more disciplined and make it work. Now, flex spending is the same way. So flex spending has everything from haircuts, gifts, Old Navy and clothes. I see here Domino's, so pizza, eating out. I paid, my girls signed up for soccer. I had to fax something last week to our doctor in California, so I have FedEx here because I had to pay for a fax. I bought some stamps, so the post office, all the other spending, even if it is a gift or something, it's still gotta pay for it. So again, I used to have like a gift budget. Now it just goes here. So when I have my fluid spending, I subtract my grocery, and the rest is truly sort of like the fun fluid money. I also divide that by how many weeks there are in a month, 4 or 5, and I kind of have like an allowance, if you will. I know about how much I should spend a week. If I go over, and I do sometimes, then I know the next week I have to be under if I'm trying to make my balanced budget work. Vice versa, if I'm really under, I know, hey, I can spend a little more next week, or I could not and just add it to the nest egg of the savings account. Let's say I want to buy a large piece of furniture. That's going to probably take the whole month maybe, or at least a couple of weeks. And so I know that I bought this chair brand new, so I'm not going to really spend anything for a few weeks because I don't want to go over budget. So that's the magic of how I budget. I hope that that wasn't too much information, that you're able to take some nuggets of wisdom out and apply it to you. For the monthly budget, subtract all your savings accounts, all your debt, and your overhead, and that's your fluid. Once you have your fluid spending, come up with as many or as few categories as you want. For our family, 2 is all we need, groceries and the rest. It's been a dream come true. Plus, for the fluid spending, I do need these receipts. There are often times where I need to return something, or maybe there's a gift receipt attached to it. These are the receipts that I'm happy to have. It is the beginning of September and current time as I'm filming this, so I'm gonna go through these now, take the receipts that I want to file and keep them where I file my receipts, and just rip up or shred the rest. So I was excited to share this new method with you guys because it really has simplified the way we spend money. To have just a fluid spending that I kind of divide out by week has been much better than having, for me, a clothing budget or fast food budget or this or that or whatever, because sometimes we need more money for clothes and then it felt like you were taking from someone else. It's like, if you have the money and you need something, get it, and if you don't, don't. And I hope that you find a method that works for you. Try this one if you're still in the market for a way to get your head around finances. It's a simplified way. It truly is. Once I have these numbers done, it's like 1 day of work. That's pretty much it. And the rest is just simplified. If your income changes, once you've created your sheet, change the income. The math will figure itself out. Your fluid spending will either get bigger or smaller depending on how your income changed, but you know exactly how much is there to spend. Make it work, you guys. Good luck. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.